Let's get into a U.S. Treasury boom that is looming today. I'm going to break it down for you. There's a lot happening in the market.
You've probably heard me mention Uphold before, and there's a reason I keep talking about them. Uphold makes it incredibly easy to bridge the gap between your portfolio and the real world. This has not been done before. Their Uphold debit card is the best example of that. It lets you spend your crypto or your cash anywhere Visa is accepted, all while earning 4% back in XRP on every purchase. It's the easiest way to stack rewards on your daily spending. Download the Uphold app for more and get started.
Let's just get right into it. I want to lead off here with this tweet right here, and this, of course, by Secretary Bessent. And he hits on a couple of points here. And one of the things, this is all centered around the Japan carry trade potential and what this looks like. But we strongly support Japan's decisive market and monetary steps to correct the substantial undervaluation of the yen. This has been something that has been brewing, and it's something even I was tweeting about earlier this week, is watch his next moves. And his next moves have started to move because you've got the Japanese yen now hitting a 40-year low. And if Japan were forced to liquidate a meaningful portion of its treasury holdings right now to fund the continued intervention, that level of selling would undoubtedly push treasury prices lower and yields higher. So this is something that we've kind of looked at in the industry for quite some time. If you go in here and look at the chart, you can see the amount of U.S. treasuries held by investors in Japan. Primarily, you've got Japan leading the way, United Kingdom, China, and Belgium, top four. But the Japanese are the ones that have the most exposure to U.S. Treasury. And what does all this mean? When you consider the liquidity that could pour into the market, all of this centered around one or two things, and part of this is going to be the connection between treasuries and the yen. Here, of course, was an interesting photo that was taken, and it was during a conference where Bessent basically made one note. I'll zoom in onto it for you right there. Buy the yen, JPY, 5 to 10 bill. This is the point I'm getting at, guys. We are maybe encroaching an area of a market position, especially where crypto was. And I'll show you something on the chart that has an eerie similarity that could mean we could be prepping up for a run here. But before we do that, I want to show you a couple of clips here. This is CNBC. Take a look.
You're a sly dog. When you wrote that down, buy 5 to 10 billion, and the printing looked so big. You've done this before, haven't you? Where you know people are looking over your shoulder. Did you need to be reminded of things to do? Buy 5 to 10 billion in yen. Tell me what was really going on there, Mr. Secretary.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that all the reporters looking over my shoulder also knew the symbol JPY for the Japanese yen. So
you have to look at this right here, and that is Japan's wealth is now returning to Japan, and it may be by any means possible. This, of course, has been done and centered around the Bank of Japan. This is why I think you saw Bessent, a good example of that right there. Further into this is the interesting point, right? To end Japan's era of low interest and rebuild the nation's wealth, or continue yielding to a current pressure of the United States at the expense of Japan. So this is the challenge. And as you guys remember, we've done a whole slew of videos. I'll show you here in a minute. But the point is that Japan is very centered around digital assets right now. It really matters because this could be everything where we get the carry trade now coming on chain. I want to play a clip for you by Jikh that kind of goes into that. Take a look.
And that is why, on July 20th, Japan passed something that's being called their version of America's Clarity Act, which means crypto in Japan is now legally recognized as a financial asset, which also means Japanese banks can now hold those assets. But even more importantly, they are using crypto as a means to offload their debt onto the world and their own companies. Then August 2024, the Bank of Japan increased interest rates by just a little, 0.25%. The yen went up, and a part of that carry trade started to unwind, and in one day, Japan's stock market went down 12%, the worst day since 1987, and the US stock market went down 3%. Millions of people here in the US watched their portfolios lose money that day with no idea what was happening. Nothing happened in the US, but something was happening in Japan.
All right, so the point, if you look at back in that area, which was on August 5th, 2024. This is what was going on in crypto, specifically Bitcoin. And you saw that master wick where Bitcoin dropped under 50,000. And it happened for a very short period of time. We saw a little bit of a market correction, but I want to show you something right here. This is what happened after that. This is the liquidity flow that we're talking about. This is maybe a scenario where Japan could be leading its way. And the difference between August of 2024 and where we are right now, well, Japan has completely architected a digital assets framework. That is the big difference here. So now they actually have a gateway. And we have put video after video talking about this, guys. If you haven't been following this, I mean, it has been over, I don't know, a dozen videos that we've been focusing on for over the last year, focusing on where the potential future of where this is heading. And right now, I think we're very close to it. Other things right now, you've got to look at what's going on in the traditional markets. Of course, is BlackRock, which is getting much more active in reference to two funds that they've pretty much launched here, somewhat in competition with Strategy here, but they intend to qualify both of these as eligible reserve assets for U.S. payment stablecoin issues. This, of course, is all related to Genius Act. Now, you've got BlackRock doing this and dropping this today. On the week that we may or may not get clarity, does BlackRock know something? Why are these tied so quickly to exactly what the stablecoin bill was really created around? So remember, this is both on Ethereum and on Solana. And if you look at this right here, Solana kind of showcases this. BlackRock filed with the SEC to issue the tokenized fund shares on Solana, 15 trillion in AUM, assets under management. This is going to be significant. And the push that this could put on the market, including what Strategy was trying to do, obviously with Bitcoin, may start to center around Solana and Ethereum. Now, I want to show you one thing right here. This is another example, something that happened with Strategy not too long ago, and that was the threat of the MSCI delisting Strategy and the potential impact. Notice that the ones that they're targeting right there, Metaplanet, Yellow Cake, Strategy, all of these, Bitcoin. And then even SharpLink, which is ETH, that's on the watch list. But this is the point I'm getting at. Maybe there is some sort of very unique or eerie coincidence here that this is all coming together at this time, when in fact you've got Strategy selling more Bitcoin than it has ever sold ever, and has not been a buyer of Bitcoin in the last several weeks. So be on the lookout. Master is selling Bitcoin every month since June. Right there's the chart, just to kind of give you an example of it. 3 big red weeks. So this is the thing to continue to watch at right now. And there has been a lot of analysis on this that is kind of pointing in this direction. So there may be a market vacuum that could be filled by Ethereum and Solana. So let's stay on Ethereum real quick. I want to showcase Ethereum over Bitcoin and why this might be a play. Here's a clip. Take a look.
Crypto has been in a ridiculous bear market for since October. So we're coming up on 10 months now of bear market. Bitcoin bottomed. A lot of other cryptos haven't. And that's very, very true. I mean, the dichotomy is there. I mean, we saw a rally of Ethereum versus Bitcoin last week. It kind of bounced off the 0.03 level, and it's now 0.029.5 or below. You know, why does this matter? It's because, well, Tom Lee has been buying while Saylor's been selling. And so that's probably the biggest reason for that. So it's, you know, liquidity does tend to trump things.
All right, so he does hit on it right there. Liquidity is the big player, and that is one of the keystones of where Tom Lee has built his business around. Remember, his situation is completely different than that of Strategy, which is one where they're earning income and being able to actually put that income to work. So completely different situation here. All right, so let's jump over to Ripple. This, of course, is Monica Long kind of hitting on her goal. And Ripple's goal is continue to become a full stack digital asset infrastructure. A couple of moves they've made, of course. One is investing in Xylo, and the other is into Liquido. Interesting name, as we may get a lot of Liquido into the market. But the point being is that this could be moving in a direction that is now somewhat competitive with BlackRock. As you can see here, State Street was one of the Series A investors with Xylo. And this is a big deal because that's almost 60 trillion in assets under management. You look at this right now, this is clear that we are talking about Ripple trying to go head to head with some of the biggest ones out there. Remember, State Street, BNY holding in there, but of course, BlackRock also starting to enter this place as well. I want to play a clip for you though, because this will get into maybe how the market will respond to this, because this is the thing that everybody's watching right now. You're looking at what's going on in Japan. You're seeing all of these major financial institutions, institutional capital, preparing for something. What are they preparing for? Tom Lee sets it up.
You shook me. What was the drawdown? You said I could have gotten to a 6 handle on the S&P based on the numbers you were talking about.
Yeah, something that'll feel like a bear market, 10% kind of drawdown.
That's what you thought. But it did get down, 7,200, nowhere near 6.
No.
Is that enough now?
I think August is a month to recover how June and July have been sort of flat months, but earnings estimates have gone up a lot. So the stock market's kind of a coiled spring. So I think the markets could actually rebound strongly this month. Like maybe we get to 7,800.
Is that forecast for the 10% drawdown still intact?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah, so because as we start to look at 2027, there's a lot of the clouds that are heading this year kind of lift. The SpaceX unlock will be behind us, and the market testing of the new Fed will be behind us. So I think, and then of course there's already been a leverage unwind. So I think 2027 could be one of the best years for the stock market.
All right, so Tom kind of hits on a couple of things. He says there that, remember, and we've talked about this before on the show, is that he's been anticipating a pretty big drawdown. The drawdown they were kind of narrowing in on wasn't as large as maybe as Lee has thought it was going to be. Doesn't necessarily rule it out just yet, but also positions August as maybe a month for a recovery, or at least heading into a recovery. Of course, key things here are always going to be the macro headwinds that are facing this market. And it also faces crypto. But with what's happening in Japan, and now you add this in here, which is potentially, again, this is Whipsaw 101 coming out of the Trump administration, but Bessent now says a deal with Iran could be announced as soon as tomorrow. We've heard this a lot of times, guys. I know that. And the market, in most cases, is somewhat numb to this right now. But if it were to occur, I'm just saying, if we start to see that kind of adjustment, it could be one of those things where Trump is finally just fatigued and wants to get out of this. Last point right here, Trump, and this kind of makes me think that that could be a possibility because Trump's trying to lay down deadlines that he knows is not going to be met. He may do that just in the sense of having a slight win or trying to claim a slight win. But the point is that all of this could start coming to a head. If it does, timing is eerie here because you've got what's happening in Japan. You've got potentially the Fed now maybe looking at a reposition on policy coming out later this year. And you've got somewhat of a slowing economy. So there is a lot of headwinds that are all starting to cross together. Somewhat of a perfect storm here, guys. We're going to keep a very close eye on this, so stay tuned. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.